Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tower Babble podcast. As always, I'm Julian Mush. I'm joined by Daniel D'Souza.
What's up?
And Jeremy Kozier.
Hello.
And today is a ToB Games episode. That's right. We haven't done one of these in a while, but we're going to be talking about video games and nothing but video games. That is the plan. Generally, we like to talk about the latest in film and television news, but we do like to do these kind of interlude episodes that talk about some of our other favorite things, mainly being video games. So we're going to get into that in just a second. Before you do, just make sure to follow us on Twitter at TowerBabblecast, Facebook.com/TowerBabblecast, and TowerBabble.ca is where you're going to find everything we do. We are streaming live right now to Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. So we do all of our shows live to video now. This is a new thing for 2020. And you can subscribe to any of those places, and you'll be able to watch us live, and even get notified when we do go live. Generally, we're going to be recording Saturdays during the day. Don't hold us to that, but that's kind of the plan for now. Okay, so let's get into this. We have a loose kind of outline that we want to follow here. Their main topics, though, are mainly being about next gen. How we think about it, what we think is going to happen, when's it going to happen, what the prices are going to be, how are we going to react to them, depending on what those price levels are, that kind of stuff. That's the plan today. Follow along on the chat. We got a lot of different chat options. If you're watching live, we're happy to take your opinions and bring that into the show as well. So let's start with the stuff that we know most about, which I think is Microsoft's Xbox Series X.
Shown off or revealed at the game trailer or the Game Awards.
It looks like
Jeff Keighley's Game Awards.
Looks like Amazon Echo, like
it was like a PC.
Just like a tube.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of looks like that old. There was like those Macs that were like those Mac Pros that look like a trash can. It's kind of like that, but more square.
IGN did a funny video where they mocked up some color schemes and paint schemes, and they made it look like an old.
old, beige,
where it would have like the slot for the floppy disk to go in.
It doesn't look like the most attractive piece of machinery.
I think it looks pretty sleek. I mean, it's just all black with the cool Xbox logo on the front, the button, and then the top has a green light coming out of it. That might look pretty cool in person.
Yeah,
practicality.
It looked really good, like right back there
right
somewhere.
Yeah, if you can see
Yeah, and the one thing that people are making fun of it the most of is how are you going to fit this into your entertainment unit? Because most devices are like supposed to be
vertical
flat.
or horizontal.
Yeah,
right. This one's a vertical.
It's strictly vertical. It's not like a PS2.
We don't know that for sure.
They just showed it off
That's
like
how they're
that.
showing it off.
But also, they've always, like all these consoles, they were like, check out this sweet vertical design that no one ever uses.
Right.
Like, remember the PS2 had that little stupid blue stand? You had that stand.
Yeah, I used it. I kept my PS2 vertical, man.
And like, you would have that little tray that came out, and then you'd like slot. It would have a little slot for your disc, so it wouldn't just fall out.
Right.
So that actually kind of brings me to a sidebar. It's maybe a little early for a sidebar, but physical media, Blu-rays, discs, floppies. I don't really use floppies anymore.
No.
They're going away. I think there will be a death to physical media at some point. I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years. Does that upset you, Jeremy, as a collector? Like, does that like something that like bugs you?
A little bit, but I think there's always going to be something available. I think as it becomes less and less common for everything to have a physical piece of hardware, or not hardware, but like
kids these days, I tell you, they don't even care.
I think they're going to be more like we see it in video games already, like special editions, right? That come with extra stuff. So I think any release of a video game from now into the future, and if there isn't like a regular physical media disc, like the standard edition, I think there's always going to be something special that a fan, a hardcore fan, whatever, can buy into and have some sort of physical representation of what they're buying digitally. Right. And that's always going to, I think, include some sort of like box.
Some sort of stupid statue.
Or yeah.
I think that really depends on the caliber of the game. It will be all but all the AAAs, like all the big ones, the collectibles, right?
Well, if there's a fan base, right? If there's demand for it and they want to buy into that, then they're going to make something.
I can see it very much being like vinyl records, to be a collector's item, in a couple of years.
Yeah, I did not expect, as someone born in 1989, we were all born in 1989, that when I was 30, I'd be buying vinyl records.
Yeah.
You know, like I thought vinyls were stupid when I was a kid. I was like, this is dumb. They can just be. I mean, I guess CDs could be scratched too, but like very delicate items. You know.
So you are buying vinyls?
I own a record player and a turntable, and I buy vinyl.
So why are you like? What are the reasons for it?
Great question.
I'm not. I'm just.
No. That's
curious.
a great question. So I think for me, it's not just about the music, right?
No.
It's about the artwork on the front.
So it's about
the feel, the text. Like it has like a weight to it. I think it's entirely like our own, like our like reptilian brains are like we haven't evolved. Like we need to be able to touch and feel things, you know. And as you go pure digital, you lose that. So that when you get those like small pieces of that, you kind of really latch onto it. I really enjoy the experience of like taking the record off the shelf, like dusting off the dust, yeah, and then like taking it out of its sleeve, like being gentle with it, placing it down, and like hearing the needle drop. Like that's very satisfying to me, and I can't really articulate why exactly.
Yeah, and that's like the hardcore like parts of it,
right?
Whereas to me, the sleeve, like the casing, right? That is a way of showing it off, of teaching somebody else, of show and tell, basically, right? And it's a physical representation of that, and it's always there where you live, and you can show that whoever comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a conversation piece. It starts there. Whereas if you don't have that, the music might be available, but will you play it? Will it how you know what I mean? Like these visual things are cues to catch your eye, to start a conversation.
You're also gonna lose ownership of these things, right? Like as things go pure digital, you know, like you don't technically own.
Well,
them,
you
right?
own them, but you can't sell them.
You can't sell them, but
you have a digital identity where all these can amass or accumulate.
There was a concept. I don't remember who pitched this as an idea, or if it was like Steam, or any of those like online stores. This idea of like you could resell a game to somebody through the store for like a lower price, like having like a marketplace for it. It doesn't really make any sense because it's not a yeah, but they would get a cut, right? But it doesn't. It's not a physical item. Like there's no limit to how many of these games can exist. It's just, you know, does it fit on your hard drive? It'll just live there, right? It doesn't. So in my job, I sell software as my, you know, quote unquote career, and there's this concept of when I work with resellers of like saying like, okay, well, there's an initial like purchase of stock that you have so that you can resell it. It doesn't really make sense to have stock of software, right? It's sitting on a shelf. It's just bits. They can live anywhere, right? And they can be replicated to an infinite amount of times for essentially nothing, right? Like there's data centers that use up a bunch of power, yada yada yada. But this concept of ownership, maybe we need to lose that idea. Maybe we need to just be like accept this concept of just like kind of like Netflix. You don't own any of the movies on Netflix, right? But you own a Netflix subscription, and you're just okay with the idea that they come and go, and you're okay with that.
So it's more about access at that point. You have access to all these titles. You can come and go as you please. I think though, like in terms of the Netflix model, you'll find that you're less likely to go to some of the movies that you really like. You're also like less likely to find stuff. Like if you have a physical copy of a movie, if ever, I mean, I haven't done this in a while, but you're going through your shelf, you're like, oh yeah, this movie.
Do you feel like you do that more? You do that more often than you do with Netflix. I think that's really interesting because I think for me it's the opposite. I never go to physical media.
With Netflix, I find often that there's an inundation. There's almost too much content, and a lot of it is like there's a lot of Netflix originals, and not all of them are very interesting to me. So
I started watching Altered Carbon, by the way.
It's a good show.
It's pretty.
That's
cool.
a good show.
Man, it is all over the place. Not to like get derailed here, but that show is
it's supposed to be
off
video
the
games.
wall. Yeah.
But yeah. Either way, physical media definitely on its way out. I think it'll exist in some capacity, whether it's through what we were talking about, special editions for the hardcore fans or whatever level of fan you are. There might be something there, but that we can transition to storage space, right?
Right.
For the next gen systems, because we know. Games nowadays typically 40, like the big games,
if it's
40
not,
to 100
If it's not a terabyte, that doesn't make any sense.
So currently, PS4, Xbox One X, what is it? It's a terabyte, right?
I think it has to start at a terabyte. I think the base model has to be a terabyte. If it's 500 gigs, like
I'm getting there. I'm just we have to go over the history of what.
Right. So the PS4 and Xbox One
it was 500 gigabytes.
500 was the base model,
but then they've kind of reverted that to being a terabyte.
Yeah.
But even then, that fills up. with
Well,
with the games we have.
Inevitably, it's always going to fill up.
Well,
right?
Yeah, no, obviously, but with the games that are coming out, so we know that big AAA games, right, are typically 60 to 100 gigs. Well, we know that Final Fantasy Part 1, the remake,
Final Fantasy 7 Part 1
is 100 gigabytes. So if you have a terabyte and next gen games are 100 gigabytes or more,
right?
It's only 10 games you can have.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. So I have a launch PS4, right? I don't personally ever feel like even at 500 gigs, I've never really felt like I was really extremely limited. I did later on, very tail end of this console generation, attach an external hard drive.
Yeah.
But that was like, we're talking like less than a year between when I attached that and when the PS5 launches. I've never been a person that feels like I'm like switching back and forth between games a lot. It's like, Red Dead 2 comes out. I'm going to play that game until it's done. I'm not going to play anything else.
So you can delete.
So I can delete Spider-Man.
No, you can definitely manage it. But going to the next console generation, I think the games are going to be more than 100 gigs. So managing is just going to be a bit different, I think.
Well,
so I think
it's all relative. Yeah.
I think the base model will be a terabyte.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I think it has to be
at the very least. Yeah.
Just because not everyone can afford everything, right? Like you have to appease the widest audience you can like get to.
Yeah.
So
it's just going to be. I think it's from a couple of perspectives. I think if it's not at a terabyte, I think there's going to be backlash. People going to say that's not enough. That's not enough, and you're doing that just to save money.
It's also going to be a solid state.
So that kind of gets us to some pricing discussions a little bit based on the manufacturing of the individual parts. But a solid state 1 terabyte hard drive is, I think starts at like $500. Like my laptop that we run all this stuff off of only has a 500 gig solid state drive, and it bumped up my price of my computer by like $250.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, if you can't always have solid state, it's like it changes your life. Solid state hard drives, they're amazing. I think Dan did it, like when we like were looking at your computer. I think we sprung for the solid state. Yep. You got to go solid state. So it's gonna, like when they talk about load times, this is like that core concept. It's like, well, PS5 was like, look at us running Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was Mark Cerny. I don't think it was like an officially released video. Someone just captured it at that meeting.
No, he was talking to
it's a Cam
magazine. Yeah,
he talked about it. But there's a video where it shows the screen where they're showing it off, and they have the PS4 Pro on the right, and it's loading for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. And they have the PS5 on the left, and it's like shooting out images while the first image hasn't even popped up. So it is a remarkable difference. One so much that's one of the main selling points of the next generation.
Right. So low and
not very exciting. I mean,
it's the least exciting thing in the world.
It's not
Dino,
exciting.
Get this. Faster load times.
Great.
Are you not excited?
Well, you've had some games where load times may have been
Skyrim.
an issue, right?
What if Skyrim's load time situation?
Skyrim was alright.
Was Bloodborne bad too at some point?
No. Bloodborne was pretty good. Mass Effect is one of the ones that comes to mind with the elevators.
That fucking elevator. God,
I kind of like the elevaters.
But
why?
That's PS3 though, right?
The fucking Metroid Prime had those goddamn loading elevators too.
Yeah.
Standing there like this, like with their gun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Resident Evil definitely did it best, right, with the doors.
Kicking through the door?
No.
They're literally just an image of a door opening.
Door
yeah, that's definitely the best way to do it. You're right.
It's clever. It's clever.
It's a cool workaround for what limitation that they had on the PS1. Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
Elevators are dumb because it's clever, sure, maybe, but you're waiting in it, like you know what I mean? Like it's longer than the door animation.
Oh yeah, actually Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order there's one elevator on one level on Kashyyyk that is so long. It makes no sense. For whatever reason, you get into this one elevator and you go. It's one floor. Like it should take 2 seconds, but you're on that elevator for like, I swear to God, a full minute, and it's like and you're just like slashing stuff the whole time with your lightsaber because there's nothing else to do. But I guess that's a point of just a way of saying that like it's still a problem. It's still something we face today. Is loading problems. But it's like it's just not sexy. It does I just expect loading times to be better. I don't really expect graphics to take a kind of a next level like leap. What do you think? Like, what was for you, Dan? When did you have that like wow moment with graphics? Which next gen jump was it that did that for you?
I want to say God of War 3 was a huge jump. when those
Right,
those
right.
cinematic right at the very beginning when the
Gaia?
Titans are climbing Mount Olympus. That was a huge, like, especially as compared to God of War 2, right, from PS2.
Yeah.
So that seemed like a huge jump to me, and that was one of the earlier releases for PS3.
I think it still looks good.
Yeah, it does.
They remastered it, but I think the original still looks good.
It definitely gradually doesn't become as drastic though as these generations go on,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Because obviously, the Super Nintendo to the 64, PS1.
That's like hard to even describe. Like it's not even
it's-
really fair.
It just it's crazy, right? And then then you go from 64 to GameCube, or PS1 to PS2.
Yeah,
That one right there
it's a big leap.
is an essential leap, and a huge leap. And then from there it was HD, and now it's that fidelity, it's that quality.
Can you believe
going
that
forward.
Nintendo's only at HD gaming now? Isn't that insane?
No, Wii U was HD.
Yeah, but
The Wii U is the Wii HD. That's
yeah, I guess. But like, no one bought the Wii U, so
correct. Well, 10 million people, but that's low amount.
yeah,
I guess
it's not that
low.
many people.
Mine's
like-
still hooked up. It's ready to go.
Just
at any
just so
time.
you can play Wii games.
Well, I have my Wii is attached to that system, so I can revert to my Wii with all my purchases
Right.
there.
But you
And my Wii U, I bought
Oh.
plenty of games on there.
I feel
so-
like I would be like, for me as a Nintendo person,
Yeah.
all I would need is like a GameCube, a Wii. No, not even a
no,
GameCube.
you need a
Just
Wii
a Wii,
and a Wii U.
Switch. No, not even. Why do you need a Wii U?
The Wii U, because it just has
Has all those games that are now on the Switch.
not all of them, but
Really?
there are rumors that Nintendo has talked about. I think like 4 or 5, or maybe 6 around there.
Yeah,
Of some Wii U games that they are like
like remastering
they're
for the Switch.
that will come to the Switch.
Well, there's that. That's like the whole Nintendo library at that
So
point.
that's a cool conversation too, right? It's like which ones would you want to pull over, right? Because you have like Mario Kart. Obviously, that was the first one to get
Yeah, then
revamped.
Smash,
which was a
which
different
is like
level,
it's different level, but it
Same
still
thing.
felt like it was
Yeah,
a pull.
which I
yeah.
called, by the way. And you
Yeah.
didn't think it was going to happen.
Well, I just felt like it was. I didn't think they'd put that much work into it.
and a lot
Turns
of
out
the
they
games
did.
happened.
Yeah.
But Nintendo Land we talk about as like a fun party game.
Yeah, but that has to
Yeah.
that has
Yeah.
to exist only on the Wii U,
Right.
right? Like it can't.
There's
Lower.
Pikmin, but I don't know if that's still relevant. Or
I think
if they want to reinvent that.
I think-
Pikmin 3 was reviewed well though on the
I
Wii
think
U.
they'll bring over Pikmin 3. Like
Yeah.
what's it hurt? You know?
But I think the more likely choice is either Wind Waker HD because that was a
Yeah.
massive remake of a fan favorite
and a big hit.
GameCube game,
Yeah.
and why not make that available on the Switch? And
I would
Super
I would
Mario,
replay the shit out of that
Super
game.
Mario 3D World, which wasn't necessarily the jump or the next evolution in the Super Mario 64 Galaxy
Yeah. Right.
Sunshine realm, but an enjoyable game nonetheless that
Mhm.
showcased the Wii U's power at least. Why not bring that over to the Switch with all those cat costumes and the multiplayer there, right?
Yeah, that's what's gonna sell. Hey, HD cat costumes. We're
It's a Tanuki.
Yeah,
no. There was an actual.
Oh,
cat.
yeah,
there was an
there
actual
was
cat
too.
costume.
yeah. That's the raccoon.
It was like a climb. It was the climbing one.
yeah.
So wait, the Tanuki is like a mythical creature in like Japanese culture.
I guess. Yeah.
It's like half human, half raccoon.
Daniel he only knows dinosaurs.
Are
dude.
there raccoons in Japan?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was more of a North American animal. You know? Okay.
Okay, so just go back to price, just
Okay.
to kind of nail that. We've discussed.
So we'll start with
so there's been a report because
Right.
of some information about parts that cell phone manufacturers want their hands on.
So
Also,
here's the thing.
5G is coming into play. You have
good thing
the-
that was empty.
Apparently, the coronavirus has something to do with what's available and whatnot. So the report is that it puts the cost of the PS5 around $450.
$450 is too expensive. I think it's too
Yeah.
expensive.
So that is
well,
the
that's
discussion.
that's the cost.
Yeah.
Right. That's
But
at
There are
cost.
strategies we know
Right.
where they are able to take a hit. Like I think the PS4 in the beginning, like it was making like $20 a system.
Maybe
That's not the goal, right? The goal is to get the hardware into as many homes as you can, and then make money off the
I
software.
believe that's called a loss leader approach.
Yeah, so that's usually what they do. But Nintendo has been one of the only ones not wanting to do that, right? Which is usually why
They've always made a profit off their. their stuff.
they rest on their ability
They have
to
like
make
billions of dollars in the bank.
yeah. They always
Yeah.
just choose that like AAA quality gameplay development that will
It's about the games, not
right,
about the
with the fidelity and
the
all that
fidelity.
stuff,
Yeah. The last time that they competed in like power was the GameCube. And
Yes, that was where they're all three trying to do the same thing.
right. And the GameCube was the strongest one. No one really knew that.
No one knew that.
but it
until
wasn't really,
Resident Evil 4.
also wasn't really
at your
used,
prime.
and yeah, like it wasn't used to its full abilities.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of sad if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
And then I guess we can talk about, was it Phil Spencer or was it somebody else who talked
yeah, so
about?
Phil Spencer says that he doesn't consider Sony and Nintendo to be their competition. So this is a bit off topic from the price thing.
Lies.
Yeah, this is just it's marketing speaks, right? He's saying instead we consider Amazon and Google to be their competition. So I think what he's trying to say there is
Lots to
that
unpack there, though.
that he's trying to think big, right? Like where's gaming going to be tomorrow, or in the
how to make it available to the most.
I think he says he
people.
wants to make gaming available to 5 billion people,
Yeah.
something like that.
And he
So
sees the numbers with those streaming services, and it just makes
the
sense.
first person to figure out Netflix for games will be a bazillionaire. So
Right.
what he's saying is that it's about streaming games. That's the future. Who has the power to stream games? Really, only Amazon, Google, and Microsoft.
And Google Stadia botched everything they
Well,
were trying
they're
to
still
do.
around, but I think they'll
Technology's there, yeah.
get their feet under them, right?
Yeah.
So, and what he's talking about is the cloud. So Microsoft has Azure, which is their cloud platform, and it's extremely robust. It's one of the it basically came out of nowhere. I mean, they're a big, obviously Microsoft's a big company.
Yeah, they've invested lots of money.
In billions of dollars in cloud infrastructure for Azure. So much so that people are moving off of Amazon Web Services, which is for the longest time was considered the peak of what cloud stuff was. You know, like MLB streaming game stuff was all based on Amazon Web Services. So really, it's a 2-horse race, and Google's a close third between Microsoft and Google in the cloud, or Microsoft and Amazon in the cloud space, with Google a close third. So Sony is the funny part about this is Sony's cloud infrastructure is based on Azure. And they don't care; they'll sell to anybody. That's not the point. But Microsoft, obviously, it's their technology; they understand it best, and they have
They'll be the ones to develop.
they have a lead, right?
Yep.
So I honestly, if I'm a betting man, and who's going to figure out, I'm not really a betting man. One time I won $1,000 at a VLT, mostly because of Daniel's help.
Yeah, I remember that.
But virtual lottery machine, basically. That's VLM, but virtual lottery teller. What is it?
I've never video.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Lottery
Doesn't matter.
technology. They anyway. Backing up.
You're not, though.
I'm not. But if I was,
Let's revisit that conversation.
but if I was,
to when you were.
But if I was, I would bet on Microsoft to understand, and like they already have a pretty good understanding with Game Pass. People are really blown away by Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, the
And
value there
is
insane.
crazy.
That is basically the Netflix of video games.
It's
so far.
close. It's as close as we can get.
I mean, you get access to all their AAA first party exclusives.
Plus new games every month.
Yeah.
And so I would bet on them to understand that cloud infrastructure first and be able to make streaming games to people a reality first. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to win. I'm just saying they're going to.
So then, what about like with Sony, the PlayStation Now? Is that
right?
that's a version
that's
based?
It's based on Azure.
Yeah.
It's technology based on using Azure.
Which none of us have ever tried, right?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
You
How
just
was
did a
it?
trial period.
I did the trial period, and I found it was very choppy. Like it got like maybe that's my internet connection. It's not necessarily on them, but
it's
like
also
you
lag.
we
There's
also,
a lot of lag.
we also have base model PS4s. I think all of us, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't matter. The whole point of streaming is that you should be able to stream the same game to my phone, that you can stream to
Right.
your TV, that you can stream to your laptop.
I'm still sure that the PS4 Pro can handle all that stuff.
So there's different kind of
teraflops.
never say the word teraflops. No one knows what that means. There's different understandings of or ways to do streaming gaming. Really, one cool thing that I found out about Google Stadia was that, and I don't know if this was an idea they wanted to do, or if it's actually what they're doing right now. But what they're doing is calculating all the possible moves you can make. They're doing it all ahead of time, and then as you click the button or move your stick, they stream to you that possibility that they've already calculated ahead of time.
That's pretty crazy,
right? So one of the ways you can improve the reaction time and reduce the clunkiness and the jankiness is to stream all those possibilities to the box. And allow it to do some of the processing. So it's saying, here's all the options that can happen in the next second or the next half second. Pick one, and it'll just do it. And if you can do that constantly, it can reduce that kind of lag.
So does that kind of show you that this won't be the last console generation, that you're always going to need a box?
I think that it's going to be a lot like I think it's going to be for this. I don't know if it'll necessarily be the last one, but the next one after this will be very different, and it'll be much more, maybe more like a Amazon Fire Stick situation. You buy a PlayStation stick that you plug into your TV and a controller instead of a box, and that's maybe the.
But the goal is to just kind of chase that app, basically. That's just can be accessed.
Yeah, and the other possibility is that Sony doubles down and says no, physical media is important. People care about it.
So that's a big question going in here into the next generation. We know Microsoft took a bunch of right steps in backwards compatibility, making like a majority of Xbox 360 available.
The rumor is that PlayStation is going to be backwards compatible as well.
There is, but there also been reports that they're trying to achieve it and trying to work on it. There's like
I really don't care about it. Like I have a PlayStation 4. Like I can play a PS4 game if I want to. Like I don't feel like I'll ever need to go back in the same way. Like just if people want to resell their consoles, then that's fine.
A lot of people trade their consoles in when they're getting a new one, right? So
I just feel like you get ripped off from a price perspective when you do that. A little bit.
It gets to a point where you have too many consoles on the TV, right? Like if you're going to be unplugging and plugging stuff in.
It's just it's one of those things that is always a hot topic. It's always relevant in the next console generation. And if it does it, it's always a huge bonus. You know what I mean?
So, but you say that, but the stats apparently are everyone loves the idea of backwards compatibility. It's very important to everybody, but no one uses it. That's like the stats back that up. That one, it's there, but no one fucking uses it, or relatively few. Like to the point where like it doesn't really matter. But it's such a good selling feature. You know, mostly to they're apparently it used to be for parents. It's like, well, you don't have to buy new games, right? Like, well, you do, but you don't have to.
And you will.
Yeah, right. So I just like, to me, I don't really care about backwards compatibility. I care about what's its online infrastructure like, and I think that's something.
Yeah, I mean, it's an added bonus. I think no matter what you want to classify it as,
it's a nice to have. As they say, I mean, it's a nice to have.
But the question is, what's the trade off, right? Like if they're going to invest in backwards.
Yeah, no, that's why it never happens, because it's not as easy as you think it is.
Well, especially with the PS3, which has like this stupid weird ass.
We're past that one
now,
right?
Yeah.
So it would be a great selling feature to say, hey, PS4 complete backwards compatibility, because we won that generation. There's all these owners out there, and it's going to convince you to upgrade because you know that your library there will work, and then you're more likely to want to upgrade.
I like the idea, and then let me know if you guys think you like this idea. I like the idea of being able to buy a PS5, right, and be able to put a PS4 game in and have it like up-res or do something new and interesting, especially those tweener games, like I'm trying to think of like Shadow of Mordor was when it first launched. Like you'll say, well, you can buy one copy of the game, you can play it on your PS4 or your PS5, but it'll be it'll have faster load times and look better on your PS5, or it'll this is the dumb thing.
It's probably that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's because they want to sell you two copies. Yeah. But like I feel
that
like that would be that would be
you're
a really
buying
good
the
sell.
license to that game, and then which equals any system you want to play that on will be that version that system's capable.
Isn't that what backwards compatibility is? Isn't that the whole point?
I think it's just it's accessibility with what you've purchased already. It doesn't render it useless. It doesn't render it to where you want to sell it, and then that's this whole market on its own where the game makers aren't even making a profit off of that.
Right.
I just think if it has a disk drive, why wouldn't the PS4 disc work in there? Why you actively?
No, I agree. Well,
their PC infrastructure
in their it's Blu-ray discs. So, and they're releasing it. By the way, apparently the rumor is that there's you hearing that pump? You're hearing that hum? That's a new hum. It just came out of nowhere. That
also the TV is not doing its thing.
Motherfucker!
What the heck happened? Well, it's all right. It's okay.
Now you can see it anyways.
Is my head is in the way.
Doing giant noggin is in the way.
So. Well, we're talking. Oh yeah, Blu-ray discs. They're inventing a new Blu-ray disc, or basically doubling its capacity, so you don't have to do like the Red Dead Redemption 2 double disc thing.
Like 4K discs
until the games get big enough where they have to do that again. But we're not there yet, so it'll be helpful for that purpose. Okay, where else do we have to talk about? I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff. I want to get back to price, and I want to ask you guys just one at a time. What's too much? What's the level? Where would you buy? Whatever it's Xbox, PlayStation, whatever it is, and that's kind of what we're talking about. Just these two main ones for now.
Mm-hmm.
What price is too much, Daniel?
I think anything over 500 initially
So
might be
$499 is okay to you.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think that's traditionally how they've been between $349 and $499, or sorry, $449 and $499.
Depending on the level you get.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I mean, obviously
Base
the
model.
PS3 launched at like was it $599 or $699?
Yeah,
Right.
something
So I
stupid
think
like
we would
that,
agree
yeah.
that that's a mistake that Sony shouldn't make again. I wrote this down.
And that
Do
is
they make
one-
a similar PS3 launch mistake?
That is one stat that people are noticing is that throughout history, the last few generations, is that the more expensive console has failed in that race.
Well,
in
and,
that year.
Microsoft made that mistake last
Yeah.
generation.
'Cause
Like
they were at $499, I believe, right, for the Xbox One.
I believe so, and then it was $399 for the
Yeah.
PS3.
And that whole showing was Xbox had their plan, they rolled it out, and Sony quickly made a plan to just say we're doing everything else
so I think
differently.
it's so funny because like there is a game of chicken happening right
Yeah.
now. Sony's waiting to release their price once they find out what the Xbox price is. But
And
if
we know that-
Xbox knows that, they can just wait forever.
But you don't want to wait though forever. The consumers want to know what it's.
Sure,
gonna
they
be.
want
need
to know, but
plan
like it
for
doesn't matter. You could tell them what the price is the
They
next day.
It
doesn't
depends.
matter.
Yeah, but if they're over $500, you can't. They're not gonna buy it then.
Right, but Microsoft, both those companies know that. I think you have to think
They're
that they know
both
that.
going to be up there though at that price, so they both have to
These-
just come out.
Okay,
and
so
let people know.
your prediction is they both start at $499.
No, I think as long as you have a 4 as the starting number,
So
even if it's 99,
$449.
yeah, 449, whatever. As long as the 4 is the starting number,
Yeah.
I think it is logical and it makes sense for a console generation leap.
What year did the PS3 launch?
2006 and 2007.
No.
You said
2011?
PS3. You said PS3.
Oh, so PS3. I was at PS4. Sorry, PS4 is what, 2011,
2012, 2013.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Cost of inflation, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. I think 449. I'm going back off of what I said earlier. No, I thought of it a little bit more. 449, I think, is a fair price
Yeah,
for an next gen
in
console.
the $400
Yeah.
area,
Especially
is fair.
considering the last one started at 400, which we're 6, 7, 8 years later. We're gonna up the price by $50. That's the new starting point. That's the new reality. I think that's fine. I think it takes into account a lot of things. Some price of some technology's gone down. Some new technology like SSDs are more expensive. So it's like it kind of evens out, and you can just say, boom, 449. I think if they're both that price, 449, Xbox One and the PS5, Xbox Series X, sorry, and the PS5, I think there's a very real kind of I think the how do you phrase this? The competition's back on. You know what I mean? Like it's right now the
It's
Xbox
not just the price; it's all these other things. Why are you gonna invest in this?
Exactly. It's like, well, you have the really great incentive,
And that's
with Xbox Game Pass.
And that's what it comes down to:
you know?
incentives. And whether you like it or not, the backwards compatibility incentive could play a role if one isn't doing it and the other isn't. You know
That's a
what I
big
mean?
one, and then like the technological capabilities is one, and then
Nice.
also the
Which I think we know
the
that the
launch
Xbox
titles.
is going to be more powerful.
Launch titles, I feel like people play make launch titles more important than they actually are. You know, because there's been some pretty bad launch titles over in the past, and they've done fine.
There's been good launch lineups.
Well,
too.
yeah, obviously the Switch comes to mind.
So yeah,
but,
I think there's a stat. I think launch games sell the most too. So it's a lot
So
of
I say,
people
but
who
they could be bad. Like I'm sure.
Doesn't matter, but
What's it
I'm
called?
saying
What's that
game developers are gonna
PS4
wanna
one
get
with the dude
Knack.
made a knack?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game sold well too, but that game's not good. It's a bad game.
No. But I'm saying that if game developers know that if it's going to sell regardless, they're going to want to make a game for that launch.
Right. I get. You're more.
A lot of studios, like I'm pretty sure for Microsoft, like Halo is launching with it. That's a huge
Halo Infinite.
Yeah, no, just Halo 5 or whatever. It is.
What's the Infinite? That's what
I
it's
don't
called.
know. Whatever. That's launching with it. That's huge.
that's
That's
their
massive.
flagship.
We know so little about that game. Are we sure about
doesn't
that?
matter.
Doesn't matter.
That's a
It's
marquee.
name. It's a brand name. People are gonna
Yeah.
buy Halo.
Even
It
if it's
has-
a
it has-
real-time strategy game.
It has slowed down over the years. Don't get me
Answer's no,
wrong.
by the way.
But they know that, and it's a new console generation, which they lost the last
Yeah,
one.
you play that bell like ding,
Yeah.
and you the
the E note or whatever.
and all of a sudden people are in, you know, and you show a guy in a green suit. All right, so I think we're in agreement. What do you do? Here's the question.
No, here's the question.
Okay.
Which one will you buy, and what does it depend on?
I'm going to buy the PS5.
So why are you going to buy the PS5?
I'm now ingrained in the Sony infrastructure. This is the same problem with people who own iPhones trying to switch to
Yeah, but they're
going
going to sell us. So what would make you switch over? What
I've
like,
never
what
owned
are you
an
losing?
I've never owned an Xbox, but it's obviously the first party titles. That's the difference. That's the
only,
differentiator.
that's the only thing. Yeah.
Right? I think
That's a fair. That's the answer.
And
really.
the Game Pass
Yeah.
thing.
the Game Pass is really interesting.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I'm like, ooh, that'd
Comes
be
down
nice.
to the games. Usually.
And here's the thing: Microsoft just bought how many new studios
Yeah, a
in
bunch
the
of
last couple,
studios.
and then they're gonna have some interesting games. They're gonna do some really
Down
cool
the
stuff.
pipeline, yeah.
And maybe then, okay, I buy an Xbox 2-3 years into into the run. That seems very realistic to me.
I'll probably buy both.
Yeah,
I'm
why not?
Well, with SKUs, because apparently
I'm a consumer.
What about this? What about SKUs? That there's two different SKUs for each. One obviously more expensive than the
Whichever
other.
one's more expensive. Is
You're gonna buy the,
You
most,
buy the more
expensive
expensive
one.
one.
So just nothing matters to you. You, just,
This guy's independently wealthy.
you don't have an Xbox One though.
I don't. No, I didn't.
No one bought an Xbox
So
One.
then, are you gonna buy a Series X?
I would think about it. I would have to do a bit more research. I don't know much about it other than this conversation. This is the first time I heard the name of this. So.
Daniel knows about most of this stuff.
So what do you think about that name, Series X?
Yeah, it's
Xbox.
a cool name.
It's a
It's cool
bad
name.
name.
I
It's a
think it's
bad
cool.
name. Series
Series
Sex sells.
I think I think it leaves it open for other series iterations.
Series Y, Series
Just
Z.
iterations, right? Because they're going towards that. If they're not there already with the PS4 Pro, Xbox One X.
Well, they were already doing this stupid Xbox
iteration.
One
There's
S.
more, yeah, but it's more often now,
Yeah,
right?
it's
so
really
why
stupid.
would that happen?
I hate it. I can't imagine the consumers like that. I mean, it seems to me
it comes from the cell phone market.
It's an anti-consumer move, and I think it's entirely driven from a revenue perspective and not from a new technology perspective.
I think it's still in there. I think the new technology perspective is still in there. It's a part of the
I think
equation.
I think if it's a
May not be the
it's like,
forefront.
It's like
It's on the
80. It's like
forefront.
80-20 probably.
Well, it's
Revenue.
give and take, though, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, if they use the resources gained from that to finance new technologies in the next
and
generation,
people want it,
it's
and
worthwhile, right?
Yeah, I think those technologies are these are big companies. Those R&D budgets are huge anyway.
Sure.
I don't think that and those R&D budgets, by the way, are not based on how well a console sells. So,
But there's no measured number of how long a console should be out in the wild and why it should stay stagnant like that.
you're right.
Have
But
to update.
did any of us buy the PS4 Pro?
I almost did. I wanted to.
Why?
It's the load times. All those things are dramatically better. The PS4 runs like crap.
Well, now it does. Yeah, especially these new games.
The PS4
yeah.
Pro is a lot more powerful. Like, have you seen? Like, that's why I said teraflops, because it's actually a massive difference.
Yeah, which is I think a scale of measuring calculations per second. I think
it's like the PS4 Pro is like I don't know. It's at least 4 PS4s or something like that.
That's not true.
Look it up.
It's not 4 PS4.
IGN wrote a video about it. They showed like
There's
images.
no way.
Yeah,
I'm skeptical. I'm not going to say no for sure, but I'm very skeptical of that.
that's fair.
Here's the thing. Like, ultimately, I was still able to play those games that came out, and maybe not in their optimal way. But this is something that's been true.
Well, that's a huge deal for a lot of
This has been
gamers.
true.
If you're
Yeah.
a video game guy or person,
then you'd have a
gal,
PC. PC. You'd have a PC if that's all you cared about. You'd have a PC and you have the top of the
No,
line. And
I
you
think
run
there's,
stuff.
there's segments of fans and no.
I've
There's
never been a
there's
PC
people-
guy.
There's a
but
lot of
these
people
are
who don't like
these are the
PC,
realities
and
of
they're
of that.
always on the leading edge, and they'll always buy the pro version. There's always that person.
Everybody
Everybody
knows
knows that.
You're
person.
getting so much closer to that reality with consoles by saying every other year there's a new version of the console that's a little bit better,
Yeah,
a little
and
bit better.
they'll get the
It's-
people that want to get it, and then
and
everybody wins.
Exactly. No one. No.
Yeah?
No.
How?
Because then you splinter the market, right? Now you have these games that are designed for the newest version of that, and it's like now you're
But the
getting
people who
reduced
don't,
version.
but the people who are not willing to invest in the PS4 Pro don't care about it to buy a PS4 Pro, so they're not going to care about that game.
Maybe, but they
That's
probably
just
care if
the way
the game
it's-
works.
That's just the way
right?
the way it's been going, though.
I'm not happy about it.
That's
clearly,
fair. That's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't think we're like Daniel might be that guy, but he's not like.
But he doesn't care.
He's not going to be day
he's not
one on
thinking
PS4
about
Pro or
those things.
Xbox One X. But I know people who are like
it's
that.
fun to talk about people when they're in the room when they're right next to you.
And then it would piss you off because you do want those little extra added bonuses,
but I'm not
but
gonna
you're not
invest the
willing
extra
to
$400
spend,
or whatever to buy. It's
But the market
it's not worth it.
exists.
It's
and
not
it's worth it for those people.
No, it's not.
For
from a I think from a purely analytical perspective, the cost per gain in performance is not
It's
worth it.
based off who you are and what you're willing to pay for.
Well, that's always
you
true.
justify it that
that's
way.
just a demand supply demand equation.
And it's there and it's working out.
I don't know. We don't really. I don't know if they release separate numbers for the PS4 Pro versus PS4. I don't know. We don't know that for sure. Is what I would say. I don't know how many PS4 Pros are actually out in the wild for real.
A lot.
What do you guys think will happen with VR? Does PlayStation VR
apparently
live on?
with this price there might be issues with that in terms of including some sort of infrastructure and the technology as the base model that might that wants to attach itself to that being an accessible thing to jump into. So that might take a step aside. I mean, VR. I think that's the PS4 headset is the most selling one, but that's because it's probably the cheapest.
It's not the cheapest, but it's the most accessible,
easy to use, all that stuff. So I for sure they want to keep that going, but again, I think they're going to have to make it a separate thing for that person, the hardcore person.
So
who has that money
it's because like we were talking about this, like we talked about VR for so long. We're all excited.
Right.
We were so excited. None of us bought it. Even Mr. Moneybags over here did.
Well, what we always said, what I always specifically said was I was going to wait till the next generation of VR, right? So that first
2.0.
iteration, and then I would imagine with this new generation of consoles that there would be a better version of it.
It's going to happen.
It's kind of disappointing to hear that may not be the case initially, but
so
we don't know.
The next generation of VR does exist already. It exists on the
PC. Yeah.
There's wireless versions of it.
Yeah.
There is like really cool like room scale. By the way, room scale VR is the coolest thing, where it maps your room and you can move around.
Right.
That is insane.
And,
and it's real.
Valve's Half-Life 2 prequel or something like that.
It's I don't remember what it's called, but it's a Half-Life 2 game.
Which looks very good.
Yeah, it does.
I would
the fact
love
that
to play
there's another Half-Life game at all is pretty crazy.
And made for VR. It's not. You know what I mean? Like it's
like you reload your gun by like all the things that we like
everything
joke about.
Design
yeah,
is,
it's very
is VR
cool.
in mind. Yeah. So I'm very excited to see what the reviews are of that game.
I would love to have a VR like PC. Jeremy, your PC could basically play. We could do a lot of that stuff.
We got the space here.
Yeah, I say we do it. Jeremy, bring a computer.
We should set up
here.
a VR Nook.
Yeah, I don't think you need. I think you need more than a Nook level space.
Just backspace here.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah.
You could like just in this area.
Yeah.
Right in this area. Okay.
Right.
Okay. We'll consider that. We'll move the couch away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. When are we doing that?
Well, we got to see what the next generation.
Oh, okay.
See
yeah.
what the PS5.
I thought we just use your PC. Your PC could do it.
Yeah, but then we got to buy. What are the VRs called?
There's the
Quest. The Quest.
One of the Quest is a cool one. Yeah. There's the
obviously the Facebook owned.
Yeah. So like
Oculus Rift.
Oculus Rift, the Quest. Those are all from Oculus. So they're doing really cool stuff. There's the HTC Vive, I think. There's really interesting technology in VR right now. We're not doing it. I feel like we're missing out. Like, have you guys heard about Beat Saber?
Yeah.
That game looks so like it's a combination of like Guitar Hero and lightsabers.
Where's those lightsabers at?
They're not even
took
here.
them back.
Could you
They're
stand up
mine.
and do it? Like, boom, 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 boom. I feel like you would love that game.
Love that game.
Yeah, those type of experiences are gonna come up more and more,
Yeah.
and those are gonna entice people. Like if that's like a workout game, like even the Switch has that Ring Fit Adventure.
Super Hypercube was the old like the game that blew my mind away with VR. I don't know if you guys remember Super Hypercube.
Yeah.
It was like you had to like place blocks into these cubes that were coming at you, but you had to like look or move around
you have to, like,
it.
make your body into the shape. So
Was
you
that
fit
the
through the
was that
hole
the
or something?
Sp-
No,
was
that's a
that was that
different
the
one.
Spielberg game or is that something?
No,
else?
that's
that was like a block game for like PS Move or something. Right?
Blocks. Yes,
Not
but that's a
it's not
different game.
Roblox,
That's
yeah.
also an old game. That was like a PS3 game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what we're talking about. Okay, so what else do we have to talk about? We talk about streaming. We talk about storage. I think
Price.
we talked about price. Let's switch our perspective. Nintendo. We haven't really talked about them that much. They are in this in between thing where they launched the Wii U is failing, and they launched the Switch I think sooner than they probably planned to, right? And now they're in between. And now they have a console that's about as strong as the I don't know. It's not quite as strong as a PS3, but it's around that level.
I think it's past the PS3.
You think it's more powerful than PS3?
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say for sure, but it's clearly not next. It's not PS4 level, and we're about to get PS5.
Yeah. It's just Nintendo. They do the best they can, and they get around it.
They're
right?
little scrappers.
Specifically with their first party studios and how they're just the art of them, right? They're able to just make them match up to a certain degree, right?
Right.
They don't have characters that have that hyper realistic look like Halo or Killzone or God of War.
No, but could you imagine? Have you guys seen those mock-ups of what Mario would look in like live action or like as a real human? It's like terrifying.
Just a hairy Italian dude.
It's terrifying. Do you
But
think?
either way, they I think they're pretty vocal about how, like they're not they have no plans. Switch is their movement right now.
Obviously, it's doing well. Switch is doing
selling
super well.
The most. They're killing it. So
I love my Switch.
I
I love my Switch.
They're gonna and like Phil Spencer was saying, which I think Nintendo is more in that realm of not being in competition with them.
Well, they're like when they say that we don't consider Sony and Microsoft competition, they're also
they don't
lying.
say they don't say they don't
that.
say it like that.
No,
though.
but
that's not how they
yeah,
say it.
that's
They
not-
literally just talk about their own thing,
Yeah.
and they're not
competing with
trying.
themselves. They're just
Yeah.
trying to do
Yeah.
their own thing.
But
They
again,
are- no,
it's,
they-
that's
they
the
know-
marketing speak.
Yeah, but it's different with Nintendo. They know they're competing, but they're not making the same thing but better. It's a different.
They're trying
experience.
to find a different vertical.
It's way different. The last 3 generations, vastly different.
Right.
So I think it's fine for them to say it in that light. I think Phil Spencer is just ego. It's just ego and
they're failing right now,
yeah,
and they want to be able to separate themselves from someone who's kicking their
and
ass.
attach them to something that is
Yeah.
the future, which is the streaming service and Amazon. Those big names.
Yeah. Which I think is smart. That's a smart move. I just think. What about Switch Pro? Do you see Switch Pro as a realistic thing that happens? The Super Switch, which I love the name of.
I think market it as the next one, but you can keep that Switch moniker just like they want to do with
That's
the
got to be
Wii.
a few years down the road.
Yeah, no,
Like
2022.
5, 6,
I would say 2022.
Well, we're talking about these intermediate steps. A Switch Pro, like a PS4 Pro, might be an interesting thing that can get those 10 million people that bought the
So then,
Wii U.
in this example, then the semi step is okay
Right.
for you.
No, I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying I'm asking whether you think that that's something that Nintendo would do.
No, I don't think
It's
so.
not. You don't feel like that's
I
not something
don't
Nintendo
know
would do.
because you have the Switch, massive success. Then you have the Switch Lite, so you go a step down in terms of accessibility, or not accessibility, but in terms of capability. But it still works. It's still selling like crazy because you're going to a younger part of the market. For them to be accessible with a cheaper price, more durable machine, but can't do the TV thing. But it's fine. It's selling. So you have that as the Switch. Now you make the next version. You don't do a semi-step.
Yep. And it could be the case that Nintendo is now in between. So like Sony and Microsoft are releasing around the same time for the holiday season, and Nintendo might be the one that staggers it. That's like maybe a couple years afterwards, and then they're on their own cycle after that.
And they can see
already are.
and they can learn from this upcoming launch. What works, what doesn't. Even if they're not doing the same types of things, they can see what's selling.
I would put it this way: I would love anything that's PS4 capable, like that of that kind of like tech level of power in a handheld, like the Switch, like a Switch Super Switch. That'd be fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Like it's handheld. It can do. Nintendo will do amazing things with its first parties. You can probably port over. That becomes part of the issue because the further these guys get ahead, the less likely you're going to get third-party ports of these games, or they have to be specially made, which was what happened with the Switch, and then it ended up not necessarily working all the time, and we're making really shitty versions of it. The Call of Duty games were like notoriously terrible for the Switch. For the Wii.
Yeah, past Nintendo consoles, it's always been like really bad.
Oh,
Switch
yeah.
has gotten away with it a little bit, but obviously some games are noticeable, like The Witcher, like these massive
Well,
games.
they also released,
but they still work.
They also released a version of FIFA that like FIFA 2019 or FIFA 2020. That was literally the exact same game as the previous year. They just with a different roster. Like they didn't do anything different. And that's like fuck you, EA. Again,
that's all
EA,
sports games.
Go fuck
basically.
yourself. No, but they're at least you can say at least they're trying to do something new. They're changing this or that. This was like they're like, no, this is the same exact game. It's nothing new at all. Which is I think really talking about anti-consumer. That's fuck you.
And then
That's a fuck you to the consumers.
So we just have So just back to this constant generation, we just have so many questions still. Just a couple of answers, not a lot. E3, like we always say every year or like every now and then, like it's always gonna be the most. This is the most exciting E3. Like that's always said, right?
Yeah, no, E3's dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because Jeff Keighley's pulling out of E3, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Sony still not coming.
Yeah.
Microsoft's going to be there though. So
Yeah.
either
Nintendo
way,
not going to be
it's
there.
not
Nintendo's always done
I'm
their
not
own
having a
thing.
conversation about E3. We've been there.
Yeah.
It's around that time though, because
Well,
there's going to be Microsoft's presence.
yeah.
Nintendo always has their presence around that time.
Yeah.
Sony is going to have a press conference. So
Yeah,
it's
they
not about
will. They'll do
E3. It's
something.
about that time
Yeah.
is when the information
August.
really. I think it's a little bit before August. I think
Is
it's
it
no, it's not August. It's
May,
June.
June?
May, June or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
June
I always feel
something.
like it's August. I don't know why I think that.
No.
June.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're absolutely right.
around that time is going to be a lot of the info finally like coming out.
Yeah, and we'll get some answers. Is there anything that you really want like as a feature out of these next gen game like consoles that you feel like is like really missing or like not being capitalized on?
Like I don't have experience with. I just have experience with the PlayStation 4.
Right.
So the load times does appeal to me, just in terms of like how the store works.
Sure.
Those types of
Oh
things.
yeah,
the UI.
faster store. That'd be great. A
Yeah,
better
just
store.
like the UI. You know what I mean?
The
Like
PlayStation Store sucks.
yeah,
it sucks
It
so
would
much.
not just loading in terms of like
It's like
games.
organized wrong.
It's just everything.
It
Yeah,
sucks.
the
I agree.
the XMB. I still prefer the PS3 kind of organizational and layout.
Why is there two
Yeah,
horizontal bars? It's like just pick one and one vertical. It's
so
fine.
I think they're at a point with the PS4 a while ago where like we're not going to update this at all. We're just going to save it for the PS5. All the problems, all the organizational problems.
Like, and then they're like, there used to be integrations with Facebook and Twitter and stuff. They all got rid of those things. But I think
did they?
If they really were smart about it, they think they would try to find a way to better integrate with social media that people care about, right? So like, Twitch is something that they do automatically stream to, which I think is really cool. I think they need to keep that share button. I think that's huge. But a little bit better integration with Twitter maybe or something like that, or would be nice. There's a whole community out there. Some of them aren't that great, but there's a community nonetheless that you can access. I think that would be interesting. I know that's probably not a very popular opinion, but I think
it's just tricky, right? Because it's like, do people want to access those things through their consoles, or do they want to do it through their phone? So it's like you have to just make that seamless.
I guess
with
there's the second screen part of it. Like
I think that's the answer there.
Have you used the PlayStation apps? They're bad.
No, I mean like a next level of it, like just
improve
revamp
it, figure it
make
out.
it seamless.
Man, apparently the PlayStation Network is so legacy based. It's so old and so shitty that it's like.
Well, I'm sure it's gone through.
Throw it out.
I'm sure it's gone through.
They can figure out how to redo names. They can't redo.
Well,
names.
that comes down to the PS3 and how that
exactly.
Botched.
So I'm saying there's
it's
legacy issues.
It's not. Yeah, but it's not like they made the PSN and it was born and now it's 1 year old and then it's gone through.
No, I know that it's growing, but
changes.
because it's
the PSN ID for the backlog. They've already said if you change it, you're going to lose some data. Like that's not really an issue.
Right. I just feel like these are some of the legacy problems. It's the same problem that Microsoft goes through with Windows because it's new and they've gone through changes. It's built on things that are old and like ultimately sometimes break. So I almost like a clean break. And saying, okay, here's the PS5, PSN. It's fresh. It's fast.
That's pretty much all I'm looking forward to. Is that I don't need much more storage, more power, affordable price.
I just feel like we're talking about these are like PCs. Let's just make them more like PCs. Can I install like new voice apps?
That's why it's so interesting how the Xbox One Series, Xbox Series X reveal was because of that PC like shape of it, and always compare it to PC and how it's. And the interchangeable parts and sizes and hard drives.
I don't want to get back to the days of I don't want to get back to the days of the Nintendo 64 expansion drive. I don't want that. I don't want to be able to swap my graphics card on my fucking console. The whole point of my goddamn console is that I don't have to worry about that stuff.
Again, it'll come down to what they think works for the markets. If they're like with the comparison to the PS4 Pros, the Xbox One X, if that sells and people are wanting that, and they want those two different gaps, they're going to make that available.
Just make it, then tell people, here's a PC, buy a PC, and here's the PlayStation, here's the PlayStation software that you install.
They can't just say there's one because the market, unfortunately, is split into two. The casual, the hardcore, and then versions inside that. One's with money, one's without. So you have to get as many people in as you can. Having two different versions is smart.
No, I'm not saying no.
But then,
I don't want the availability. I don't. This idea of being able to, maybe swap my
but
hard drive.
But within those spatial configuration, I think is reasonable.
Oh yeah, for capacity of storage, sure, that's totally that's fine. The PS4 you can swap your hard drive. I think that's fine. I just don't want to get into this habit of there's a new game coming out. You can't play. You don't have the expansion drive. Whatever.
No, it won't be. It'll be between the two SKUs, potentially. Yeah, you might be doing that, but
that either.
But we've already had that, like with Tomb Raider, right? There was like two different versions of like
these tweener games I was talking about.
Yeah, but it's not like you're not getting the experience. That's not what it is. It's mostly just powerhouse graphical stuff.
Exactly. So I just don't want to get into a point where with these gap consoles, right? Mm-hmm. That there's such a drastic change that like you're forced to upgrade. What am I sacrificing? If I'm sacrificing graphics, I can do it. I can handle that. I'll allow that. I'm okay with it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we have covered everything, and we're like bumping up against an hour, which is I think perfect. So I will remind everyone to follow us on Twitter at Tower Babblecast, Facebook.com/TowerBabblecast. Go to YouTube, YouTube.com/Tower of Babblecast. I screwed that one up. And head over to our website, towerbubble.ca, where everything we do is there. I think I'm gonna try to integrate the live stuff into that a bit more. I'll figure that out. If you like the show, if you like us, or just Dan, or just Jeremy, or just me, you can help support the show by going to patreon.com/TowerBabblecast, TowerBabblecast. And
no OF.
No OF.
Not in that one.
Not in that one. And for as little as $5, one coffee from Starbucks. Jeremy had one of those earlier. You can help support the show. Also gain access to our Tower of Babel film club, where we every month pick this dice around. Where the hell is it? This die picks a movie, picks a movie for us, and we watch it, and it's a community experience, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
What's this month's movie? What's this month's movie? Thank you.
Is
it Days of Thunder?
Days of Thunder, that Tom Cruise classic.
Can't wait.
That nobody knows about.
1990, I believe, is the year
It's
the
old.
movie came
It's an
out.
old movie.
1990.
It's a forgotten classic.
If it's forgotten, is it a classic?
Yes,
Okay.
because as the generations go
Right,
on,
right.
it's inevitable. They're not gonna want to carry that through, right?
Mhm.
As people die.
Mm-hmm.
Who died?
I don't. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Well, I guess it wasn't that long ago. A lot of people have died who probably enjoyed that movie,
That's probably true.
and they can't tell people that keep watching it.
The movie came out the year after we were born. There's
Right.
still plenty of people alive that can tell us about it.
Not all of them.
Not really.
You're right. Not all of
He's
them.
got a point, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I can't. There's nothing I can say. Anyway, if you also please join us for these live streams. It's much more fun when there's people interacting. So you can find that any of those places I said before. We stream live to Twitter, Periscope, Facebook,
Kaleidoscope.
yeah, exact. Kaleidoscope, a new streaming service, Kaleidoscope. We should launch that. Also Twitch, which we're not on as often as we'd like to be, but Twitch is definitely a place where we are, and YouTube. So check us out at any of those places. Again, Saturdays, most likely for most of the recordings. I'll try to post on Twitter. That's where you want to stay up to date with everything we do. So with that all said, is there anything you guys, any closing comments from any of you guys?
I'm the best one here at Smash Bros.
Debatable, but we'll
Debatable.
debatable. It's debate. Anything's debatable. Jeremy, any closing comment from you?
No.
No? Okay. What do you think of Batman's ears in the new Batman?
We got to see him in a different light, but
Is it not like
the
not
suit
daylight, you mean?
is unbelievable. I'm through the roof. Over the
Have
moon.
you seen all the people joking about how ridiculous Batman stuff looks like without a cape?
I don't get that.
I don't get it either because it's
I
like
didn't think that once.
it's so it's like well
It's a suit.
of course it's like
Post,
also the
CG.
cape is also like intrinsic in the look. It's like of course it's gonna look not as good without the cape. I never understood that either. And I love the idea of doing CG capes. It just lets you be so much more free and like
control it.
do some really cool, interesting things that you can do in the comics. So that's pretty exciting. We'll be talking about that on our next full Tower Rebel podcast. This is a ToB game, so as you know. And so tune in for that next week. We're talking about Pattinson's Batman costume. There was at least one other story that you told me about that we'll definitely be talking about. And everything else that happens in the world of film and television. So stay tuned for that, and we'll talk to you then. Hold on, wait. Wait for me to transition to our end scene.